Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Good evening to those where it is Wednesday evening. Good morning to those where it is Thursday morning. And good day to all in between. Welcome to the 12 tribes. Greetings to the 12 tribes that are scattered to the four corners of the earth according to Bible prophecy, who are now soon to be delivered by the line of the tribe of Judah as he comes back to this earth to establish his kingdom forever. Greetings also to those that are not of the bloodline of the 12 tribes, but are, as it were, according to the Bible, grafted into the bloodline by faith or through faith, as it were, in the line of the tribe of Judah, Mashiach Yahushua, who the world knows as Jesus Christ. Greetings also to those in the mix. Greetings, Brother Williams, to those in the chat. Also, double blessings. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, who are trying to save lives on a daily basis. Blessings also upon those that pick up garbage for us to keep our places clean. Blessings upon those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on those trying to recover, trying to help, trying to save, trying to bring back boys and girls, men and women, children, teenagers from the clutches of sex slavery, human trafficking, prostitution, child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, pedophilia, and child molestation going on a national and international basis, on a daily basis, and what part of the curse that's upon all of these nations. Curses upon all of those. Double curses that the Most High will bring to those that practice these things, that destroy innocent minds and bodies and lives. Finally, blessings upon the homeless. 600,000 plus men, women, and children in the United States, including also veterans, and millions around the world in the same or in worse conditions that don't have a roof over their head and have no idea where their next meal is coming from. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Also blessings upon those who, even in a small way, are trying to help and alleviate this enormous situation that we have on the planet. Again, blessings and shalom to all of you guys in the chat, Brother Mark, Brother David, Righteous is the Way, Brother Williams. So I want to start off telling you a testimony. And I want to tell you a testimony that's a true story. Now, this testimony is a true story, and as times in the past, as the word of the Most High showed us in the book of Numbers, we can see in the book of Numbers, for example, the 12 spies were sent by Moses into the land promised to our fathers. They were sent into the land to spy out the land for 40 days. They were sent there to do it. And when they went and came back, they had different reports. 10 of the spies had a certain report, and 2 of the spies had a different report. And let's take a look at this at the end of 40 days, where they bore witness of what they had seen and heard and experienced. The 12 spies bore witness. Let's take a look. Beginning in Numbers chapter 13, I'm going to begin at verse 25 and go from verse 25 down to verse 33 of Numbers chapter 13. And they returned from searching the land after 40 days. And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran, to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him and said, we came unto the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it floweth with milk and honey. This is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there, and the Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea, by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. But the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. There we saw the giants, the son of Anak, which come of the giants. And they were in our own sight, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And so we were in their sight. Let me start at chapter 1 of verse 14. And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, would the Most High that we had died in the land of Egypt, or would the Most High that we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore hath Yahweh brought us unto this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Were it not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said one to another, let us make a captain, and let us return into Egypt. And Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel. And Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, the son of Jephunneh, which were of them that searched the land, rent their clothes. And they spake unto all the company of the children of Israel, saying, the land which we passed through to search it is an exceeding good land. If Yahweh delight in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land which floweth with milk and honey. Only rebel not ye against Yahweh, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their defense is departed from them, and Yahweh is with us. Fear them not. But all the congregation bade stone them with stones, and the glory of Yahweh appeared in the tabernacle of the congregation before all the children of Israel. So the 12 tribes came back. 10 of them had no faith in the word of the Most High. Why do I say that? Because the word of the Most High, the only reason they were going there was because of the promise given to their father Abraham that they would inherit the land of Canaan. That promise went from Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. Jacob's name, as we know, was changed to Israel. And Israel's children became the chosen nation, the chosen people of the Most High. And they were going to the land based on that promise. It's going to be very important for what we're talking about today. Very important. And I'm going to tell you a true story. But before I do, I want you to notice the 2 brothers out of the 12 that stuck with the word of the Most High. Yeah, they're bigger than us. Yeah, they look stronger than us. Yeah, their cities look tight, but they bred for us. Why? What made them say they were bred for us? They believed the promises of the Most High. And then they said to the people that were rebellious against the word of the Most High, only rebel not ye against Yahweh, neither fear ye the people of the land, for they are bred for us, their defense is departed from them, and Yahweh is with us, fear them not. Brothers and sisters, I want to tell you something. Not everybody in the United States of America, not all the Caucasian people that live here, believe that the United States should be an imperialistic power going into other people's lands and killing and taking. Not all the people of the UK believe that they should go into other people's lands and bombing and taking and killing men, women, and children. Not all of the Caucasian people in the United States of America are racist, though they may not be openly racist, maybe subconsciously because of the culture. But if you ask most of them, they would not say they was racist, or they would not say we are better than people of other colors. And yet, the imperialists, the oppressors, are in control, according to Bible prophecy. And all the January 6th on the world will not stop it. Because, according to Bible prophecy, the powers of the oppressor, the powers that run the earth, are already too powerful for the people. There's no voting. There's no January 6th riot. There is no marching you could do. You could go to all the gun shows you want, and you could have all the guns you want to buy. You still will be crushed you're too late to do anything. They already have more power, too much power for you. Much less those of us of the bloodline. There's no guns we could get. Now, we could defend ourselves against oppressors, but there's nothing we could do. We're not going to overrun this government. We're not going to change it. There is no political system we could create within it that's going to change anything, because prophecy has dictated what it is. We are outmanned and outgunned right now, and there's nothing you could do about it. See, people want to believe in the United States, and I'm sure it's that way in Germany, France, Italy, all of the great so-called G8 nations, that their country, their government would never purposely hurt its own citizens, that it would never purposely poison its own people, that it would never purposely kill or poison any people on the earth. They're too honest for that. There are some that have their head way up in their anus that believe this. But I think the majority, if they really want to think about it, and that's the thing, most people don't want to think about what the real is. And this is the great difference between the majority, people who's going to be lost, and those who are not. Those who are of the truth are not afraid to look at the truth straight on, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how disappointing it is. And yes, it's going to disappoint you because, yes, none of these governments are righteous. None of them. There is zero righteousness within them. Zero. If they're in bed with the whore, according to the scripture, there's nothing good in it. From head to toe, the whole thing is sick. There's only one sentence for such a situation. It's total destruction. It's total destruction. Okay? You can't hope that you're going to send somebody to Congress or to the Senate or to the president, to the White House, that's going to really change anything. I mean, if you want to be real and honest, you know very well the corporations already own them. And even if somebody was to be halfway honest when they got there, first of all, the starting salary of a congressperson or a senator is over $170K a year. Plus, they give you money for your staff, and they give you an office on top of that. Now, you say $170K, okay, that might be a lot. But listen, if you're not making any money and they kick you to 170, you don't want to give it up. Not including all of them lobbyists that come representing all of them corporations that's lining their pockets on top of that. Very few people have the power or the will to give that up. And if you did, they'd run you out of Congress very quickly because it's owned and operated by the corporate powers who are controlled, as we know, by the religious power based in Rome. So you can't fight it. You can't hide from it. And the oppression has now grown to a point where it's hurting everybody. That ugliness, that oppression is leaked out, and it was limited to the red line communities of us. But now, everybody's feeling this wrath. Okay, everybody's feeling it now. A lot of people feel it. You can't ignore it, but for so long, it's going to get worse. Okay, it's going to get worse. Now, I want to tell you a story. And I got a method behind my madness in telling you the story. This is a true story. This happened in 1985. I will never forget. It's the first time, I'm going to tell you about the first time I saw an angel, actually face to face. Now, again, like Joshua and Caleb, some people are going to tell me I'm crazy and I ain't see no angel or I'm making this up. Stone him, right? But for those of you that's going to stand firm at this time, it's going to help you because this is a true story, as Yah is my witness. It was 1985. My wife and I had gotten married in December of 1984. We got married and we lived in a studio apartment. I mean, a one-room apartment. The kitchenette, which is what it was, a kitchenette, but one person could get in there. The bathroom the same. Tight quarters. Okay. I'm 23. She was my age. I'm not going to give her age out because I don't want her to. She ain't giving me permission to do that. So we were both young 20 people. Had a little boy. At that time, my oldest son, who I adopted as my oldest son, he was 3, just turning 4. Okay. We were all in this little place, not used to each other. My wife was working full time. I was working part time and going to college full time. It was our first year of marriage. It was stressful. Okay. We were on top of each other in that little apartment, trying to figure out how to be adults, how to be married, how to survive. It was hard. It got so bad that about, I say 4 or 5 months later, I suggested to my wife, we had a little money saved. And I said to her, why don't you go to Puerto Rico and go see your family? I just wanted some space. So I suggested, why don't you go to Puerto Rico and see your family for a week? My wife, being who she is, knew that I was trying to get rid of her. And her automatic reaction was, no. I don't want to go to Puerto Rico. Now, I was just about up to here. So I said, okay, if you don't want to go to Puerto Rico, I want to go see my mother and my brother in California. See, my mother and my brother was living in LA. So I said, I want to go out there and see them. She said, go ahead. I don't care. So I bought the plane ticket to go and see my mother and my brother get away for a week. Okay. Now, at this time, I had been, reading through the Bible. I had read it through. I mentioned to y'all, this is my 19th year reading it. But the first time I read it, I started at age 12 and finished my first reading of the Bible at age 15. And after that, I hadn't continued like reading it through every year, but I was just reading parts that was interesting to me. Well, at this particular time, my attention was drawn to the book of Deuteronomy. And as a young married man, I wasn't used to being a husband or a daddy. And it showed. I was doing a lot of praying. We were both doing a lot of praying. But I happened to be drawn to the book of Deuteronomy. In fact, it was at that time that I declared from then even till now, it was my favorite book. Up until before that, being a Christian, I was only reading most of the New Testament and mostly the Gospel of John, which is still one of my favorite books. But Deuteronomy overtook it. There was something about it that was drawing me. So then when I got to Deuteronomy 28, now, of course, I didn't know who I was as a Hebrew at that time. Neither did I understand what that particular chapter would mean to me later. But at that moment, I was drawn to that chapter. And what I was drawn to was the promises, the blessings. I saw the curses and I tried, after I read them through once, I didn't want to read them anymore, but the blessings. And one of the blessings that really caught my eye was that you shall lend unto many nations and thou shalt not borrow. You shall be the head and not the tail. That caught me because I thought, man, what he's promising me is I could live in this economy, in this nation, and never have to borrow money from anybody. And then I kind of substantiated that because my father, I love my father, but my father was a cheap man. I mean, I think he's now 80, he's 81, and he has the first dollar he ever earned. He still has it. I mean, that's how my father is. And he offered to pay for me to go to college, which shocked me. To know, and to this day, he was paying. Now, it was only like $600 a semester, but it was still, he didn't have to come out of his pocket like that. I wouldn't have been able to go otherwise. So I found that to be a sign. I said, wow, he's paying for me cash. I don't have to borrow no money to go to college. And then this promise is coming. So I was like, you shall lend to me. And so from that day, I said, I'm going to decide to myself, I'm never going to borrow money from anybody. Now, I broke that promise many times over. But I said then that being young, being new in the faith, being new to really focusing on the word, I took that promise. So you say, what does this have to do with me going to California? Listen, I flew to California. I saw my mother and my brother. I spent a week, and it was good for me to be away for a week. It was good. Now, before I left, I had got paid for my part-time job. So we was living off my wife's full-time income in New York City. We was in a rent-control apartment. If you're in New York, you know what that means. And we was living in a pretty nice area, but we was only paying like $300 a month for it. And that same place now is going for like 5,000. But anyway, I had gotten paid for my little part-time job, and I kept $50 in my drawer. And I left that in my drawer when I went to California. So I went to California, and when I was leaving, my mother asked me, "Do you need any money? To get the taxi? I want you to take the taxi from the airport when you go back home. Do you need money?" I said, "No, I got $20 because the last time I had seen her in California, which was 4 years prior to that in '81, it cost me $20 to go from LaGuardia Airport. I think it was LaGuardia Kennedy. I don't remember which one, but back to my apartment in Manhattan, it cost me $20. So it was like $18. So I was like, I got $20. I should be good. So I flew back, landed, of course, took the cab. Now, I'm sitting in the cab, and I'm noticing the meter is going much faster. You see, in New York City, inflation is much quicker than the rest of the world, especially the rest of the country. And I noticed that I was going to be past $20 real quick. But I thought to myself, I got $50, in my drawer. No problem. We good. So we pulled up. And as we pulling up, I told the cab driver, I said, listen, it was $30 on the meter. I said, listen, I got $20. And he looked at me. He was a little Spanish dude. He looked at me. I said, listen, he pulled right in front of my building. And I said, look, no. I said, I got my stuff in the trunk. I said, my door is right there. I said, I'm going to go into the apartment. I'm going to bring you the $10. I'll be right back. And he was mad, but he said, you got such a time. I said, okay. I had no problems. I went inside. We lived on the second floor of the building. So we never took the elevator. I would walk up the stairs and walk down the stairs. So I walked the stairs, went into the apartment. I said, I'm home, and my son was with a babysitter, I think. And my wife was in the shower. And so I went to the drawer to get the $50 and it was gone. Now I'm panicking a little bit. So I went to the shower door and I said, Mommy. I call her Mommy. I said, Mommy. She said, what's right? I said, what happened to the $50? She said, oh, I used that to buy food. So I was like, oh, shoot. So I was panicking. There was no other money in the house. Now, the next day, my wife and me was getting paid the next day. So she figured, okay, I use this 50 to get some food and we get more money tomorrow. Only problem was she did not know there was a cab driver downstairs waiting for $10 from me. Now I'm in the kind of like a funk. I don't know what to do because I had put the money aside. And something came to me. There was a brother, a good friend of mine across the street. His name was Daryl. Called Daryl. I was mad though, because I was like, you said I would never have to borrow. I was mad, seriously. I was like, you promised I would never have to borrow money. And I took it very seriously. So I called Daryl and I said, Daryl, man, I'm so sorry, man. I just got back from Cali. I said, listen, I need $10. He said, no problem. He had a 12-year-old son. He said, I'm going to send Sean over there. He'll be right around the corner with the money. So I hung up the phone and I'm walking back down the hallway, down the steps. And when you get down the steps in my building, it's like a hallway to get to the lobby, right? And I am mad. I'm telling you, I was boiling. And I was speaking out loud. You promised, I said, and I was by myself. I was talking to the Most High. You promised I would never have to borrow from anybody. You said I would be the head and not the tail. And I'm borrowing from Daryl $10. And I'm walking down the steps, right? I get to the main floor. And as I'm walking to the lobby, there was this man. He was over 7 feet tall. I don't know how I've met 7 feet tall people, but he was over 7 feet, like 7'3" or 4 or 5 or whatever. But what was noticeable about him, he was standing at the lobby, at the elevators, and he was like he was waiting for me. He was smiling. And when I saw him, I thought to myself, oh man, I must be a terrible witness, because I was sitting there almost, I was almost cursing. I wasn't, but I was mad like that. And I had to have a scowl on my face. And when I saw him, I put the fake smile on, like that. And because he was smiling at me. And as I got closer to him, as I started getting closer to him, I noticed he was a tall, dark-skinned man. Dark. And he had a bright smile. Like when he smiled, it's like light came out of his mouth. And then he had these dark glasses on so that you couldn't see his eyes. And I'll never forget. This is the truth. He had a powder blue suit on, sky blue. So I'm walking toward him as because I got to go past him to get out the front door. And as I'm walking toward him, he says to me, he said, Brother Todd. Todd is my government name. See, I got Gabar Sadak as my Hebrew name, but Todd is my government name. And I never met this man before. And he said, Brother Todd. And I said, hi. And then he said, how's your wife, Judy? How's your little boy, Joey? And I was like, how this dude know me, man? I mean, but then as I got close to him and I'm looking up like this at him, my attention was turned because the cab driver had got out the cab and he was leaning on the passenger side door like this, you know, with a scowl on his face. He was waiting for me. So my attention was drawn to that. And I started walking toward the door and the tall man is walking beside me. He's walking beside me. And he opened the door and it was a double door. He opened both doors. I don't even remember how they opened, but he opened them. And I came out and my attention was on the cab driver. Now, in the meantime, as I'm getting ready to tell the cab driver the situation, that my friend is coming with $10, the tall man walks around the cab to the driver's side door. And I'll never forget, he stood at the driver's side door. Now, he was tall, so it was almost like it was like a Impala, you know, type cab, a Buick, like an Impala. I think Impala is like a Buick. And it was like this part, he was his chest and his head and his shoulders was way above the car. And he raised his right hand to the air like this. And when he raised his right hand to the air, I'm telling y'all a true story. When he raised his right hand to the air, he said, Brother Todd, do you need money? Something, I wanted to say no, but something, it was the Spirit saying, tell him. And I said, yes. He said, how much do you need? And as he started talking, the cab driver, he's looking behind like this, and he's looking at me like that, like he didn't know what was going on. And he had his right, and it was a wad of money. And he said, do you need money? And I said, yes. He said, how much do you need? I said, $10. And I said, please tell me where to bring this money back to you. I'm going to get paid tomorrow. I'm bringing you back this money. And he said, he laughed. He said, don't worry about that. And he did like this, and he walked around the cab, and he gave the man the $10. Then he started walking away. And I said, wait, man. I said, tell me, where do I get you back this money? I said, I'm telling you, I'm getting paid tomorrow. He said, you don't have to worry about it. I said, no, I need to know. So then he says, you sure that's all? First, before he did that, he said, you sure that's all you need is $10? That's what he said. He said, you sure that's all you need is $10? I said, yes, that's all I need. Because I didn't want to take more that I could pay back, right? He smiled, gave me $10. He's walking away. So then as he's walking up the road, it wasn't even a road. It was like a path within our buildings. There was like a path within our building before you could actually reach the street. So I said, tell me where you live, man. Tell me what apartment you're in, because I assumed he was in my building. So he said, tell me where you live. I said, tell me where you live. I'll bring this to you tomorrow. He said, bring it to 7A. At that moment, I heard something. I looked to my left because my friend's son was coming. He liked to be on a skateboard. And I heard the skateboard and he had $10. And I said, Sean, I said, it's all right. I got it covered, man. Don't worry about it. Tell Daryl thanks. And when I turned around, the man was gone. So the next day was Friday. I got paid. And just like I said, I went and bought a card. And I said, I want to thank you, from the family for what you did for me yesterday. Here's your $10. And I went up and I put the $10 in the card, put an envelope, and I went up to the 7A. I knocked on the door and nobody answered. So I slid the card under the door with the $10. That was on Friday. Now, Sunday morning, about 10 o'clock, somebody banging on my door. When I opened the door, there was a woman there. Now, when you live in the building a long time, like I have been in that building for like 10 years, when you live in the building a long time, you get to, you may not know all the names of the people in the building, but you know them by face. You know who comes to the building, who don't live there, right? So this woman that I knew from the building, she was at the door. She said, are you Todd? I said, yes. She said, what you slide this $10 into my door for? I said, the man that I met. She said, son, I don't have no man live with me. And she said, I don't have no man live with me. I said, I'm just telling you, man. She said, take your $10. Ain't got no man live with me. And then I turned around. My wife was literally jumping up and down behind me because she said it was an angel. She knew. I knew too, but I couldn't believe it. It was an angel. I say all that to say I was trusting in the word. I was innocently trusting in the word. And in my innocence, in my naivete, for $10, the Most High answered the prayer. And it brings me to 2 Peter. Let's look at 2 Peter chapter 1. I'll never forget, as long as I live. And that wasn't the only time the Most High sent the angel to deal with me, but that was the first time that I'm aware of. Who knows if I had seen one and didn't realize what it was, but that was the first time. And there was no doubt. I didn't know this man. He was so tall, so dark, and he named all my family by name like he knew us. Then he just disappeared like that. Well, in 2 Peter chapter 1, it says, and beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 4, 2 Peter chapter 1, from verse 1 to verse 4, it says, Simon Peter, a servant and an apostle of Yahushua the Messiah, to them that have obtained like precious faith with us through the righteousness, there you go, it's the faith of righteousness, through the righteousness of Yahweh and our Savior, Yahushua the Messiah. Grace and peace be multiplied unto you through knowledge of Yah and of Yahushua our Master. According as his divine, now watch this now. According as his divine power hath given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness, through the knowledge of him that hath called us to glory and virtue, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these, that is by the exceeding great and precious promises, we might be partakers of a divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. Now, why do I read that? We have to learn by the grace of the Most High to trust in the promises of the word, to take them seriously and to lean on them. Because as Joshua and Caleb, we're going to be looked upon as crazy. Everything is going to be against us. And yet we will be delivered because the word says so. Okay? Because those that trust in the promises, notice it said, by trusting in the promises of the word, we become partakers of a divine nature. See, this is, you got to listen, you got to look at this closely, brethren, because you and I are of human nature. I mean, we're born with human natures. That's natural, right? But it's saying that we can partake or share in a divine nature. And if you read it carefully, it's telling you through Messiah, by the righteousness of the Father, through Messiah, you can, by trusting his promises, you can be partaker of a divine nature, a nature that's not of yourself, that comes from above you, that enters into you by the Spirit of the Father, and escape the corruption of this world, and be delivered even for $10. Even for $10. It wasn't about the $10. I understood that because it's $10. It was about the promise, about how I was called on the Most High according to the promise that I believed in it with all my heart. And I'm telling you, learn the word. Again, it comes back. Read the word and trust in. And when you see a promise, take it. Take it for yourself. Understand it. See, I didn't even understand that word. That when he's talking about head not to tail, he meant us in the land. He meant us in the land that we were going to inherit, which we have lost through unbelief and worshiping other gods. But we will now obtain again very shortly through Messiah. Most people of the planet don't know the promises. And if they do, don't believe them when the rubber hits the road. They will see the giants. They will see they're outmanned, outnumbered. And they will comply with the evil. Okay? That whole January 6th thing, I'm going to tell you what now. The next time them fools come out like that, they're going to get mowed down. They're going to get mowed down. See? It was a setup. I told y'all last December it was a setup. And it's set up to get the minds of the observers to understand what's going to happen to y'all next time you do something like that. Like I said, there ain't enough guns. They ain't got enough ammunition. They ain't got enough of nothing in the world to deal with this government, because prophecy said that the beast and the whore and the lamb-like beast are going to run the earth. It said it. You can't go against it. But it also, we just read that when we trust in Yah's promises and become partakers of a divine nature, they're bread for us. Their defense would have departed from them. He will deliver us. It's not about how smart we are, where we'll be placed in ourselves. We think we need to go run in here and there to be safe. It's about trusting Father Yah. Wherever he moves you, go. Whatever he tells you to do, do it. Trust in his promises. See, when we don't trust his promises, like Joshua and Caleb said to the brothers in the nation that day, we are rebelling against him. See, either you're in or you're out. That's really what it comes down to, you know. That's what I'm saying. Either you in or you out. You can't be half in. It's like a woman cannot be half pregnant. She's either pregnant or she's not. You can't be half in. Either you're in or you're out. And I'm telling you right now, most religionists are out. Because they think of this thing as some sort of philosophy. It's not a philosophy. It's solid as a rock. It's solid. And either you believe it or you don't. You can't half believe it. Either you all in or you're not. See, I'm telling you right now, you can bear witness. I pushed all my chips in the middle of the tank. I'm not a perfect servant, but I'm all in. I'm telling you right now, I'm all in. I'm completely trusting this word. Every single dot, every single tittle, every single thing, I'm completely trusting. Like I said, I'm not perfect servant, but that doesn't mean the word ain't perfect. It's perfect to me. And I will trust those promises until the day I die, whatever that day is, or the Messiah return. And I'm admonishing y'all, do the same. You're not going to look smart to most of the earth. They're going to laugh at you, just like they did with Joshua and Caleb. They're going to laugh at you. They're going to say you should be stoned, you stupid, you crazy. But Joshua and Caleb were the only two from that day that made it into the land later. They were the only two. Everybody 20 years old, over 20, didn't make it. Died in the wilderness. Talking about going back to Egypt. Only the ones under 20, the young people, and Joshua and Caleb were the only grown men that walked in there. They're the ones that said the bread for it. And old Caleb was 85 years old when he took the hill that became Jerusalem. When he took Jerusalem, he was 85 years old. And he stood up in front of Joshua and he said, I was 40, he said, when we got the promise. He said, I'm 85 and I'm as strong today as I was then. Imagine that. He said, give me the word. I'll take that mountain. Because everybody was scared to go up there because it was on a mountain. It was fortified. The Jebusites were there. Caleb said, give me the word, Joshua. I'm taking it. And he did. Brethren, we're going to need that type of faith in the promises of Yah's word. And just like me, I am sure you have experiences yourself where you know you was delivered. You know the Most High delivered you. As you were delivered then, so shall you be delivered now. Okay, so shall you be delivered now, and more also, because we're at the end now. This is the stakes right here. This is where we're really going into the eternal promised land. There's no another time going in there. This is it right here. This is where the powers of this earth, Gog and Magog, well, not Gog and Magog completely, because you got a second resurrection, but this is where Babylon and the whore and the beast get destroyed. And it's not going to look like they're going to get destroyed. They're going to look dominant. They're going to have all the money, which they do, all the power, which they do, all the guns, all the weapons, all the bombs, which they do, according to Ezekiel chapter 39. And I suggest you read that. All those powers are going to be with them. Yet, they're going to come to their end. They're going to be destroyed. Okay? It's going to look bad for us, but we'll be delivered. Okay? This ain't no drink poison Jim Jones cult garbage. Or like the other day, some fools in Jamaica cult sacrificing humans foolishness. Study the word. Study the word. Trust in the promises. He will deliver you. He did it to me once. Yeah, he did it more than once, actually. But that's the one time I'm sharing with you now. But I know for sure, I can't deny what he did for me. And I'm sure he's done something for you. I'm sure he has. Y'all out here listening to me. I know he has. Think of that. Because as he delivered you then, so he's going to deliver you now. Praise the Most High. It's going to get worse, but it's all good. We're prepared. We're prepared. That's all we need. We're prepared. I pray that the Most High will bless you. That he will bless you with the promises of his word and make them real for you in your life. And fortify you with his spirit of perfect righteousness in Messiah. And cause you to stand firm like Joshua and Caleb did. And understand that their defenses are departed from them. And they'll be bread for us. Sure.